Welcome back, everybody. Marijuana has only been legalized for a few years here in Michigan, but there's a new film that's set in 2008 that focuses on the marijuana incarceration rates. And this 2008 is pivotal because that's before it was legal anywhere.
That's right. And this documentary is one step to open the conversation with communities who've been impacted by social justice issues. And joining us to talk about the film Grassland is producer and Metro Detroit native Adam Edery. Thank you so much for being with us, Adam.
Good to see
thank you
you
guys for having me. Great to see you guys.
Well, first of all, tell us about the inspiration for the film.
Yeah, so we had co-writer directors on this project, two guys named Sam and Will. And Sam's mom actually was illegally growing marijuana in his home state of New Jersey when he was growing up. And growing up, he had to be super secretive about it. He couldn't tell any of his friends. He couldn't have friends over, really couldn't do anything. And I think kind of growing up, and then as weed became legal in a lot of different places, he was like, wait, I was so scared that my mom was going to get arrested growing up, and now I'm seeing people go and buy it at shops and trying to just grapple with that. And then that sort of led to us doing a lot of research about the state of cannabis today and how many people are still incarcerated, which is why we made Grassland.
When you look at the demographics, it's such a disproportionate amount of black and brown people who were incarcerated for marijuana crimes. When we're taking a look at where things stand now, we were talking about the president. He had talked about this very issue, but it's really a macro thing. It's happening at a state level here where folks are still incarcerated.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that's something that's, really important to talk about is when President Biden issued the pardon for marijuana, people thought, oh, this issue's over now, right, it's done. And I think it's really important to highlight the fact that so many marijuana cases and people that are incarcerated were incarcerated at the state level. So what President Biden did kind of did nothing for those folks. And there's still an estimated 40,000 people that are incarcerated because of marijuana throughout the United States. So
what do you hope that your film, raising awareness about those 40,000 people that are still incarcerated, what do you hope the film will do?
Yeah, I think so. One of the things we're doing along with the film is we're actually launching a social impact campaign. So we're partnering with a great organization called Last Prisoner Project, and their mission statement is to try to get those folks out of jail that are in because of marijuana. So we're hoping that our film can kind of be used as a tool to shed light on kind of what is happening with marijuana in the United States as far as the people that are still incarcerated, and just kind of showing how these things come to be, right? How implicit bias in policing leads to incarceration rates, being higher for, like you said, black and brown people, and then kind of
the
leading
laws
that
as
charge.
well, how that also helps. The movie is set in 2008. Obviously, a lot has changed since then. When we look at, the business owners who have dispensaries, when we look at the folks who are making profit off of marijuana now, how do you think this film adds a layer to that conversation about who's profiting and who's still in jail for the very same thing?
Yeah, I think it really tries to kind of make people think about how do we create systems moving forward when something becomes legalized that are actually equitable, right? How do we get to a point where the people that are now coming out of jail and who are formerly incarcerated and struggling to get jobs can actually benefit from this industry that's expected to be $34 billion in 2024? And kind of how do we create those systems, in Michigan and throughout the United States, to help those folks actually re-enter into society after being incarcerated.
We featured at least one cannabis business here in Detroit that did hire formerly incarcerated people because of marijuana charges that were dropped. As this film opens, when can people see it? Yeah,
so we're waiting to see where we're going to premiere nationwide. We're hoping to premiere this June. And then, the film hopefully will be available either in theaters or on streaming, kind of just depending on, who we sell it to and where it goes from there. And then, we're also launching a kind of nationwide social impact campaign. So we're going to be taking the film from state to state and working with local cannabis equity activists to try to highlight the issue, and then to also kind of lobby different state legislatures for some of those most egregious cases of people that are still incarcerated because of marijuana to try to get those folks
out. For such low amounts of possession. That's what gets me too.
Yeah. Thought you should shout out where you grew up, because while you're doing this, something that's based in New Jersey, you have ties right here to Detroit.
Yeah, grew up in Southeast Michigan in Huntington Woods, and it's definitely kind of a crazy thing to go from here or move out to LA, kind of be in film and do all that stuff, but I'm really loving it, and it's always great to get to come back home and kind of share some of the work that I've been doing at home. So
how many years have you worked on this project?
I've been doing this project for a few years, so it was brought to me in spring of 2022. And then we were kind of developing the project for about a year or so, and then we filmed in New Jersey last summer. We actually filmed at the childhood home of our director, so we were filming literally in the place, you know, where he grew up. So that was super interesting.
Well, all the best to you on making
thank you guys so much.
the film being successful, but also your social impact as well.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys having me in.
Thanks.
Thank
Good meeting
you.
Yeah, great